Shalom WJC family. We are getting ready for Shabbat. This week we will be reading Parsha Vayishlach when we are at Shul. And in it we read the famous story of Jacob wrestling the angel. It's a very well-known story. Jacob is coming back from his exile with Lavan for over 2 decades, and he is anxiously approaching the land of Canaan, the land that is his inheritance, and he's worried. He's worried because when he left, he was not on great terms with his brother Esau. In fact, Esau was threatening his life, and now he doesn't know what to expect. And so he divides up all his property for safety. If one camp gets destroyed, the other one may survive. And then he sends everyone across the Jordan River into the Promised Land, and he goes back for unexplained reasons. The Midrash has different ideas of why he goes back. There he encounters a man. He's alone. He encounters a man, we're told, an Ish, and he wrestles with him until the break of dawn. Very mysterious, this man. It becomes clear that it's a divine being as time goes on. We read about the struggle and the battle, and this angel, this divine being, can't seem to prevail, and so fights dirty, sweeps the leg, as we would say, and damages Jacob's thigh. He has a limp from this point on, we're told, and finally, Jacob has him pinned, and the dawn is coming, and the angel says, "Let me go, the dawn is coming." And Jacob says, "Not until you give me a blessing," which I think is almost like he's saying, like, say uncle, like we're battling, and I'm not letting you up until you give me a blessing. So the angel says, "What's your name?" And he says, "Yaakov, Jacob." He says, "Not anymore. From now on, your name will be Yisrael." This is when he gets his name change. "Because you have striven with beings divine and human and prevailed." So what's interesting is, so he gets that name in verse 29. In verse 30 and 31, all the way through the rest of this passage, a few more verses in this chapter, he's still referred to as Jacob. Now, his name was changed to Yisrael. Maybe more importantly, okay, say, well, within that episode, he's known as Jacob. But even the next morning, we're told, and Jacob raised his eyes and saw, right? Vayishlach Ya'akov enav. Jacob raised his eyes and saw Esau was coming. So unlike his grandfather Avram, whose name was changed to Avraham and then is always called Avraham, Yaakov mysteriously has his name changed to Yisrael, but he doesn't stay Yisrael. He is called back and forth Jacob and Israel for the rest of his life. So what's going on here? So I want to bring us back to, or bring us forward to the book of Deuteronomy, where we are told, Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha Kehilat Ya'akov. You know this pasuk in Deuteronomy. We usually sing it. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Right? So Moses commanded this Torah as an inheritance to the congregation of Yaakov. So interesting, there at the end of the Torah, we are the congregation of Yaakov, not the congregation of Yisrael. So what is going on here? It seems to me that in the battle with the angel, whatever is going on there, at his best, Yaakov achieves the status of Yisrael, this greater spiritual self, this self of faith that Yaakov for the rest of his life still seems to struggle with. But what's remarkable, or maybe not, is that even once his name is changed to Yisrael, even when he's had this one liminal moment of connection and awareness of the spiritual world, it doesn't take long until he's fallen back down. By the next morning, he's just Yaakov again. You know what? Because of that, Yaakov is a lot like us. Or I guess I should say we are a lot like Yaakov. We too can access these moments of great spiritual awareness, but then we too usually fall down. There are a lot of explanations why we are called the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, rather than, say, the Bnei Avraham, the children of Abraham. Maybe this is one. Because we are more like Jacob than we are like Abraham. We have these moments of spiritual connection and we fall down. And we grasp back for that higher spiritual realm that we know is there, but that is so hard to achieve. And maybe that's why that famous pasuk in Deuteronomy calls us the Kehilat Ya'akov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe, morasha Kehilat Ya'akov. The Torah that Moshe commanded is the inheritance, is the legacy, the heritage of the congregation of Jacob, not the congregation of Yisrael, not Kehilat Yisrael, Kehilat Ya'akov, because that's us, and that's what Torah and mitzvot are about. Right? The Torah isn't about us being perfect and being on that higher plane all the time. That's not attainable. And the Torah knows we're not going to stay there all the time. That's why we are the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. Just like Israel, we struggle back and forth with our identity of Yisrael, this higher spiritual self, and Yaakov, this less than faithful, sometimes survived by our cunning, scrappy people. We're always striving for that spiritual realm. And how do we get there? Torah tziva lanu Moshe. That's what Torah is for. It's for us in our everyday. Torah isn't just for shul. It isn't just for when we are studying or when we are our higher selves. The Torah is for us to follow all the time, especially when we feel less than connected to our spiritual self. When we are the Kehilat Ya'akov, the congregation of Jacob, which is most of the time, let's face it, it's hard to be the Bnei Yisrael all the time. When we are the Kehilat Ya'akov, that's when Torah, that's when mitzvot show us the way. Show us how to connect, right? Mitzvah, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, to connect to God, that higher spiritual realm and God that's around us all the time, but it's so hard to touch or to grasp. And also maybe it's what makes us a Kehilah. By doing Torah and mitzvot, we also connect with each other to be that Kehilat Ya'akov. And so, as we read the story of our ancestor Jacob, who eventually makes it into Canaan, he and Esau get along fine and each go their separate ways. Let us remember that we are the Kehilat Ya'akov, that the Torah and mitzvot are there to help us achieve that higher self. And it's okay that we're not there all the time. That, in fact, is what being Jewish, what being the inheritors of Torah is all about. That we're always on a journey there. We're always striving for it. Let's reach for it together by doing more mitzvot, by learning more Torah together. Shabbat Shalom.